Hi everyone, and welcome to a Princess Connect gear guide. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Once we hit 7,500 subs, we'll be doing a giveaway. And by the way, if you're wondering why people drop the words gear in the comment section, that's just because it's going to be an easy way to enter the giveaway once we hit 7,500 subs. Now, one of the first things that you want to do when you're looking at your gear is you want to focus on your tank first. I always say this in like most of my videos, but I just want to re-emphasize, build your tank first. And the reason why is going to be because they are going to keep you alive throughout the story mode, throughout the main quest line. Because if you have a weak tank, what essentially happens is you cannot push your way through the storyline and you cannot unlock the features such as, the grotto and the dungeon, and you want to unlock those as soon as possible. I pretty much put that in my, start strong guide. But anyways, one of the first things to know about, tanks and their gear is that gear is permanent. It is a permanent fixation on your character, i.e. when I put on this Lion's King Grace, it cannot be unequipped and it is a permanent boost in stats. One of the things that I want us to take a note of is that characters essentially have typings. For example, Pecorine, she can use this Lion's King's Grace, but other characters like Yuki, she uses a staff in this Laurel Sorrow. What I'm trying to say is that depending on the character, like their main hand weapon, if it's a bow, they will have certain gear types. For example, if we find another sword user, they will be using similar gear types. Pecorine was able to use this sword in particular, Angelic Blade, before in rank 6. And in the future, some characters will have coexisting gear types. We'll talk about why coexisting gear types are very important. But anyways, I just want us to be aware that essentially each character, depending on their role, will have certain gear types, and it's something to take a note of because it's going to be very important to your progression and pretty much farming gear, alright? The next thing is going to be refinements. Some of you are probably wondering, okay, we've talked about refinements and how it's not worth it. You've got a 5-star like refine on this cane. Why did you do that? That's because rank 7, it's the last rank that you can get currently in our game mode. Now, some of you are probably wondering, how did you get there? If you go into menu, yes, I did the dirty, I did the mana exchange. Now, I don't recommend people doing it. It's just one of those things that I want to see how far I can push this game currently. And of course, I want to get you guys the latest information, or maybe that's just an excuse of me like trying to wail, all right? Anyways, now one of the biggest things when it comes to refining is that it is a temporary boost in stats. And note that my Monica does not have any refines, and that's just because I want to save it until rank 7, because rank 7 is probably one of the priciest places to pretty much do refinements, right? And the way refines work is they do not do anything when you rank up. Essentially what happens is when you rank up, you are stripped of your refines. So for example, I don't want to do this, but we're going to do it for the sake of this video. Where are you? We're going to go to Makoto and we're going to refine her. Watch what happens. So her stats are at 4,375, and if you click her character profile, you can see all of her stats here at 4,375. So watch what happens when we hit rank up, all right? Oh, I don't want to do this. All right, look at that. It's going to pretty much get ripped off, all right? Look, I went down to 4,262, but I do have some gear pieces and I'm refunded some crystals. So what happened there was I pretty much went down in stats. So it's not something that you want to do whatsoever. And, some of my stats here went down as well. I'm not sure which ones because I didn't really, like pay attention to it. But for the most part, that's something that I want us to be aware of. Next thing, after pretty much, you've refined and you're, doing rank ups and so on and so forth, you're going to kick this character profile again. And it's really important what I'm about to show you. Rank details, all right? This is the section that is probably the most important thing that I did not know about. And essentially, this allows you to see what is going to be the next pieces of gear that you need to acquire in order to be successful. So for example, Pecorine and Makoto are both sword users. Pecorine and Makoto both use this Lion's King's Grace. Pecorine used to use this Thunder Katana as well. But note, Griffin's feather headdress is technically an attack type pendant or accessory. So some people use that. Yukari even uses it. It's a pretty good pendant, but for the most part, don't worry about special gear enhancements or anything. That's not a thing in Princess Connect. The way gear works is just think of it as a permanent stat boost like we keep talking about. Now, you've seen how that character profile works. Watch what happens if, for example, we select one of my favorite characters. Let's go ahead and select Kokoro because I do like Kokoro. If you go to her profile and then you go to rank details, you can actually plan out the gear that you get over time, and this is available for every single character. Now the reason why that's so important, and the reason why I brought up typings before, is pretty much Yui and Chica will have similar gear. So you can see it right there, they're both using the same staff, they're both using like the same exact headdress, and they're both using the same exact accessories. So you can also almost like match their progression on how you do upgrades within the game, because this way you'll be like, all right, if I go to rank details, you know, Yukari needs like this pendant in particular. In the future, who else needs it? Oh, Yuki, and then Monica and Yukari herself needs it. That way, when you farm stuff within the main story, you're not just wasting your stamina or on like stages where it's like only one character will get a benefit. You want to make it so that every single character as you're farming through the game has a benefit, because for people who aren't refreshing stamina, like I'm refreshing stamina more than 3 times a day, that is going to be one of the biggest factors. I'm gonna make a guide on, you know, why to play like global and everything on a different day, but for the most part, you know, players who are pushing the content like this, all we're doing is pretty much progressing in Grotto, we're progressing in Dungeon, we're progressing in PvP faster than others so that we can acquire resources. That's the only difference, but eventually free-to-play players will also be at the same stages as us, but that by the time, you know, everyone gets there, you know, obviously we're just going to be spending more jewels. That's the only difference, right? So we have to technically spend more money when limited banners come, because you should always save your jewels for limited banners. Anyways, now that we've talked about rank ups, the next thing that I want to talk about is rank 7, because you guys have probably been staring at this. But I just want to cover it really quick. If you're wondering, you know, how I got this piece of gear, you know, you go to how to obtain, and then you go to this area in particular, you know, how to obtain, and you select whichever one. Note that pretty much the items on the left hand side, these two will have a higher drop rate than the items on the right hand side. All right, really important to know, because as you're farming gear, you don't want to, for example, farm like this gold staff and it's all the way on the right hand side. This gold stuff usually isn't on the right hand side though, because you have to farm like 20 of these, and farming 20 of these, yeah, it's an insane pain, and you're gonna want to use your skip tickets on golds. If anything, like some advice for folks is save your skip tickets until you are, you know, at this stage where you have to pretty much farm 20 pieces just to build this, you know, one piece of gear. But it's up to you at the end of the day. It's up to you. I don't think a lot of people are going to be hitting rank 7, and rank 7 is pretty much going to be people, you know, who are spending their free-to-play gems, who are pushing content, which that's how I like to enjoy my game, all right? So the next thing is going to be rank 7. Now, the thing is with rank 7 is that if you go to your skills tab, there is a huge boost, and it's by far the biggest, you know, skill boost in the entire game. Look here. It boosts my own max HP by 3,900. If you go into your character profile, you can actually see how much HP my character has. Pecorine has 10,846. This made her from like an okay tank to an actually decent, like very good tank, alright? This skill alone made her way more viable because it increased her HP by a third. Like it almost doubled. If it was like 5,000 HP, it would have doubled her HP. And that is absolutely broken because her abilities pretty much make it so that she can sustain herself as long as possible. For example, lunchtime, this is a heal, and you know, getting like 1,000 HP is huge. And then I pair her with Yukari, and then she gets even more HP because Yukari can do 1,000 heals too. And then you pair her with Yui, and then like stuff is just like crazy because she'll never die. She will actually never die. I'm actually going to play some like footage where I'm running some PvE stages with like Yui and Chica and everyone. One of the things that I want us to know about Princess Connect and the way people will play this game is that there's going to be people who spend their jewels for progression, which is technically what I am doing, and there are people who are going to save their jewels to get limited banners and to get, you know, collect waifus. If you don't want to technically take this game to like a very like competitive level, And I probably don't recommend anyone taking Princess Connect in a competitive level because the story and the PvE aspects to this game are just so much better than any other gacha that I've seen, like waifu collector wise, because it's not just PvP in this game. There's actually good story, there's good voice acting, there's good, like, the dungeons actually matter. Grotto actually matters. Each character is very lovable if you plan to, if you like decide to, you know, actually go through the story and get to know them. And if you watch the anime, you're in for a real treat. Just watch episode 1, do yourself a favor if you haven't already. Pecorine and Kokoro are absolutely amazing. Every single character is just so awesome. But that's one of the things that I really wanted to get out of the way as far as like the gear guide goes, is pretty much plan out your gear by going into the, you know, character like profile and then going into rank details and see which characters coincide with each other. So as you upgrade, you don't waste stamina. You pretty much make it so that you don't waste your mana on refines, and you can see how to upgrade characters progressively without, you know, making too many mistakes. I suggest you can also, by the way, we'll talk about this in another guide, but I just wanted to cover this really quick. My healers are coming back into play in the main quest for me. They are actually providing some use because in chapter 6 and above, you're going to run into some magical type enemies, and those magical type enemies, you know, they get hurt by people like Yui because she does actual magical damage. Anyways, that's it for today's video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Once we hit 7,500 subs, we'll be doing a giveaway, and I will see you in the next one.